You ever stop and think about how your body just works? I mean, how it manages everything from your mood to your metabolism, all without you lifting a finger. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and explore the secret command center that's running the whole show, your glands and hormones.
I mean, really think about it for a second. It's this huge, unbelievably complex operation happening every single moment. So, how does your body actually pull that off? How does it make sure every single part gets the right memo at exactly the right time?
Well, the answer is actually really elegant. It's not magic, it's just amazing chemistry. Your body has this incredibly sophisticated internal messaging system, kind of like a biological postal service, constantly sending out these tiny chemical instructions to keep the whole thing running smoothly.
Okay, so let's meet the key players in this whole system. First up, you've got the dispatch centers, the places that actually create the messages. And then, of course, you have the messages themselves. So first up, we have the glands. The best way to think about them is like these super specialized factories. Their one and only job is to produce and release specific chemicals that are designed to trigger actions somewhere else in your body. They're the source, the starting point, for all these critical instructions.
Now here's where it gets interesting. Not all glands deliver their products in the same way. In fact, that's the whole key. The delivery method is what splits them into two main categories. It's all about how they get those messages out the door.
So, on one hand, you've got exocrine glands. These guys use ducts, you can think of them like tiny little pipelines, to send their stuff to a very specific spot. A great example is sweat glands sending sweat to your skin. But then, on the other hand, we have the endocrine glands, and here's the crucial difference. They are completely ductless. Instead, they release their chemical messengers straight into your bloodstream, which lets them travel all over your entire body. And this visual just nails the difference, doesn't it? You can clearly see that tube-like structure of the exocrine gland, that's the duct, channeling the secretion out. But then you look at the endocrine gland, and the cells are just releasing their product right into the nearby blood vessels. No pipe needed whatsoever. It's a totally different strategy for getting the message out. All right, so for the rest of this explainer, we're really going to zoom in on that second type, the endocrine system. Why? Because those chemical messengers it sends out are what we call hormones. And trust me, they are absolutely fascinating. So at its core, a hormone is the message. It's the actual letter that gets sent by an endocrine gland. The bloodstream is the mail service, and that letter is addressed to a very specific organ or cell, carrying instructions on exactly what it needs to do. Okay, this is what's so cool about the whole system. The precision is just incredible. See, the gland dumps these hormones into the blood, but they don't just affect every cell they float past. Nope, they travel all around until they find their specific target cell, a cell that has a perfectly shaped receptor, kind of like a key fitting into a lock. And only when that key finds its lock can the message be delivered and the instruction carried out. It's so specific. So, as you can probably imagine, with a system this powerful, control is absolutely everything. You definitely don't want the wrong messages going out, and you for sure don't want too many or too few of them. It all comes down to a really delicate balance.
And that balance, that sweet spot, it actually has a name. Homeostasis. This is the end game, the ultimate goal of your endocrine system, to keep your internal body environment stable and constant. We're talking not too hot, not too cold, not too much sugar, not too little. Everything has to be just right.
Because when that balance gets thrown off, that's when things can start to go really wrong. The best way to think about it is like a complex recipe. The amount of each hormone has to be so precise. Even a tiny bit too much or a tiny bit too little can throw the whole system out of whack and can lead to some pretty serious health problems. Let me give you a really clear example. Your body makes something called growth hormone to regulate, how you grow. But what if the gland that makes it just goes into overdrive during childhood and starts pumping out way too much? The result? Gigantism. This is such a powerful, real-world example of what happens when that delicate hormonal balance is shattered. It just goes to show how incredibly critical it is for our bodies to get the dosage of these chemical messages precisely right. Okay, so when you see an example like that, it really drives home how high the stakes are. You've got all these different glands sending out all these different hormones. It just begs the question, right? Who's in charge? Who's the conductor of this whole complicated orchestra, making sure everyone plays in tune? Well, let's take a look at the map of the endocrine system.
You can see you've got the thyroid, the adrenal glands, the pancreas. I mean, each one has its own specific job. It is a really busy network. But among all these important players, there is one that stands out as the big boss, the conductor.
And there it is, tucked away right at the base of the brain. That's the conductor of this whole orchestra, the pituitary gland. You know, this tiny pea-sized gland is often called the master gland, and for very good reason. From its perfect little spot right below the brain, it sends out hormones whose main job is to tell the other glands what to do. It tells them when to start making their hormones, and just as importantly, when to stop. It's basically the general manager that oversees the entire system, regulating everything from our growth to, well, the whole shebang.
So, we've seen how this amazing chemical network pretty much acts like your body's software, right? It's running all these crucial background processes. But here's the thing, it doesn't work alone. It's actually working hand in hand with another huge communication system. Which kind of leaves us with one last question to think about. If hormones are the body's software, what other code is running your internal systems?